So just to give some advice and some ideas on what can be done for the squash and pumpkin patch that we have at the community garden. Everything is growing really nicely. Most of the plants have been labeled, although I may need to end up labeling some things a little bit more at each plant. And as they get really big, of course, they might outgrow their label. But, I've tried to keep things sort of in groupings. We have a variety of different kinds of squash here, and so realistically, we may not be able to have accurate seeds for next year if we keep these, because they may cross-pollinate. For this year, hopefully we get what we're expecting, but we have some Turkish turbans and buttercups and acorn and spaghetti squash. So we've got a great variety of squash here. Now the idea with the community garden squash patch is that we want it all to grow into the back field, because we don't have that planted, there's no irrigation, and it's just a good use of allowing the vines to spread. So there's also quite a few weeds growing in here, and so coming through and getting rid of this bindweed would be really great. Focus around perhaps the where are we? Around the plants for sure. Get rid of the weeds that are going to compete at the base. And when you start to see some of these starting to vine, we want to direct the growth. Now there are actually things like acorns and spaghettis. We sort of grew closer to the fence line because we can always train it to go up the fence a bit. There actually looks like there is a cantaloupe here. And same thing, as it grows, I will try and direct its growth. We want the vines to go towards the back. We will prune leaves away just to make sure that there's lots of airflow. So that one thing to know about your cucurbits, which are your cucumbers, also with your squash plants, powdery mildew comes from the soil. So it's a fungus in the soil, and it happens and occurs as you have splashback from watering, either from rain or from overhead watering. So drip irrigation is great for this because you're just watering the roots and typically are not watering the leaves. You can't help the rain, obviously, but one of the ways that you can minimize powdery mildew is to mulch heavily around your plants. And mulching could be wood chips, it can be straw, it could be maybe leaves, I don't know, because they have their own different fungus. But definitely mulching around your plants is going to reduce your incidence of powdery mildew. It can float though too, so it's not a perfect science to mulch it, but it certainly helps. Avoiding watering overnight or in the evening, because basically what you do in the evening, if you're watering, then with these warmer temperatures and summertime temperatures, as things stay, above 15 degrees at night, that's just this beautiful, warm, moist environment that fungus loves to grow. So watering in the morning is your better bet if you're going to be overhead watering, or of course just watering around the plant itself and not watering the leaves. But if you do need to overhead water in the morning so that it has time to dry in the sun. And that can help to avoid and eliminate fungal growth. So if you do start to see powdery mildew occur in your plants, of course you can just remove the leaves, or there's also ways that you can use like baking soda sprays. Some people have actually said like milk, diluting milk. All kinds of things that you can Google and research. Sprays that you can use to inhibit powdery mildew, which will occur on all of these big leafed plants. So if you were to come up to the community garden and wanted to give a little bit of TLC to these, this is the squash patch, and on the other side we have the pumpkin patch. So we did try and keep them a little bit separate, although there are also some butternut squash that are over there too. So some weeding would be great, and helping to direct the growth as you see any of the vines occurring. And then we have a pile of wood chips, even a bucket full of wood chips that kind of go around the base of the plant. We can always also selectively prune, and this is also for zucchini. Zucchini, at first, you're going to start to see a lot of male blossoms, and that is almost like, it's like testing testing what's out there. What pollinators are out here? I'm going to send out my male flowers, my bright yellow beacons, and see what kind of pollinators we have. And then it's amazing that nature does this, right? So then you'll start to see also the female. So if you're only seeing male so far, and a male blossom looks different than a female blossom, look it up and you can see the difference. The female looks like it actually has like a little fruit at the base, the ovary. So if you're only seeing male, that's probably why. It's just the plant sort of testing out its environment, waiting for the right amount of pollination or pollinators in order to make fruit. So be patient. You can always pick them off and use them, stuffed zucchini blossoms. But the same goes with the squash and everything too. So one way that you can also help for the pollinators to see the blossoms is to selectively prune out branches. Pruning around the base, again, to sort of keep airflow around the roots, but also just, if it's starting to get really big and bushy, especially zucchini plants, just take out some of the biggest leaves. Allow airflow so that the leaves can dry to avoid powdery mildew, and then also to allow pollinators to see the blossoms that are shooting up. And I see over here on this Hubbard, 2 big, beautiful yellow blossoms. And those are both males because they do not have the little bulb at the base. So it is beginning. So as you can see, the blossoms are there sort of underneath the leaves. And of course they're yellow so that they are like a beacon to the pollinators to see them from above. So we would love any help you can give with the squash section. Thanks.